Alright guys, welcome to this set of notes. What we're going to be doing in this set of videos is they're going to follow along with the Chapter 2, Section 2 notes that you have. And what we're going to be doing in this note set is talking about specifically linear relations and functions. So as we go through these notes, a couple of things I'm going to be looking for you to really sort of master. Your objectives or your learning targets are going to be these. Let me highlight them for you as we go through them. First, you're going to need to be able to identify a linear relation or a function, and we're going to show you how to do that. There's a couple of things that you need to look for, and as long as none of those things are there, you know that you have a linear relation or function. We'll show you how to do that here in a couple of pages. The other thing that you're going to need to be able to do, your other learning objective or your learning target, objective or learning target, is going to be to write a linear equation in standard form. We'll show you what standard form is. We'll show you how to write these equations in standard form. So those are both of your objectives or learning targets. Please keep those in mind as we go through these notes. First, let's go ahead and talk about what we mean when we say a linear function. So let's scroll this on up. What I have for you is an example problem. Now, what we're talking about here is, let's say, for example, on this chapter test, all right, it's 28 questions long. And what you're going to try to do is figure out, well, if there's 28 questions on the next test, how many of those questions could I miss and still get an 86% overall on the test, right? So how many questions can I miss and still get an 86%? Well, the equation is actually fairly simple. Since the test has 28 questions on it, in order to figure out the number of questions you got right, you would take 28, the number of questions on the test, and subtract the number of questions that you got wrong. If you missed 4 questions, 28 minus 4 would be 24. 24 would be the number of questions you got right. You got 24 right, you got 4 wrong, right? So what you're doing here, because I want to know how many questions, right? How many questions can I miss and still get an 86%? That's why we're doing 28 minus the number of questions that you've missed, all right? So 28 minus the number of questions you missed. That tells you how many questions you got right. What you're then going to do is divide by the number of questions on the test. So we're going to take the number of questions you got right and divide by 28. This is going to get you a decimal. Now that decimal represents your percentage on the test, but it's a decimal. So how do we convert the decimal into a percentage? Well, you just simply multiply by 100. So here's how you figure out your score on any one of my tests. Take the number of questions, subtract how many you got wrong, divide by the total number, that gets you a decimal, multiply by 100, and you'll have your percentage. I've given you a couple here to try. So let's try the following ones. Let's say that you miss 3 questions. Well, that means then that y would be equal to 28 minus 3 divided by 28. And then once I've done all of that, I would multiply by 100. Well, when I do this in my calculator, and please feel free to go ahead and do it in your calculator, make sure you do what's in parentheses first. 28 minus 3, you should get 25. Divide 25 by 28, you'll get a decimal, then multiply by 100. If you're going to try to put this in your calculator all at the same time, you will need all the parentheses. All right, make sure you get those parentheses in there, and you should get 89.3%. 89.3%. Well, the good news is you want to get an 86% on the test, so if you were to miss 3 questions, you're still good, and I have plotted that here. I've missed 3 questions. It comes out to an 89.3%. All right, let's keep going. What if you missed 4? Well, if you missed 4, y would be equal to 28 minus 4, which of course is 24. You would divide by 28. That is a minus sign. Oh, hang on. All right, here we go. minus 4. You divide by 28, do all of that, multiply by 100, and your calculator should give you, I get 85.7. Again, that is a percentage. Sorry, I'm kind of squeezing it in on you over there, but 85.7. Well, now we have a problem, right? You're close, right? It's 85.7. Like if it was a really nice teacher, maybe they would round that up to an 86, but you are below the 86. So it looks like you could miss, to answer our question, you could miss 3 problems on the test, miss 3 questions on the test, still get an 86%. But as soon as you miss that 4th question, you're actually going to be at an 85.7%, which is a little bit below what you wanted. You could go ahead and do the rest of them if you'd like. I've already plotted them. If you miss 5 questions, you're down here somewhere around an 82. If you miss 6 questions, you're going to be somewhere around, it looks like just below, let's see, I don't know, you'd be a 78.6, right at a 78.6 if you miss 6 questions, all right? Feel free to try the rest of those. The point here is this, though. Please notice that when we connect all of the dots, we have a linear relation, all right, a linear relation, and all that means is that the graph is simply a straight line because they have straight line graphs, all right? Linear relations have straight line graphs, and that's what we want to talk about in this set of notes or this section of videos, these linear functions and relations. When you graph them, they're just going to be straight lines. So, head on over to the next page of notes. I'll meet you there, and we'll keep going with this discussion.